Friends and colleagues, please join me in a warm welcome to Premier Wynne.
Thank you very much, Kathy, and good morning, everyone. Bonjour, bonjour, Ani. It's wonderful to be here, gathering as we are on the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the New Credit, and it's truly wonderful to be here with you. And I'm going to say this in various ways this morning, but I want you to know that I honor and value and support the work that you do, and I want our government to work in partnership with you. So now I'll say that a bunch of different ways. But thank you for inviting me here today, because I think that this role that you play in Ontario and in society is so critical, and I think not necessarily as well understood as it should be, the role that you play collectively. I think that what we find is that in communities, people understand what individual organizations do, but as an entity, the not-for-profit network, the nonprofit network, is not necessarily that well understood how important you are as a sector in the society. So your theme, I think, is strategy, policy, and partnerships, and I'm going to use that a bit as I talk today, because I want to talk about my strategy to grow the economy and to create jobs, and I'm intent on doing that by investing in people, by investing in infrastructure and the infrastructure that we need in different parts of the province, and by creating a climate where profit and nonprofit initiatives can succeed. So I want to talk about that strategy. There are policies that we'll be rolling out to support that strategy, and I'll talk about those in a moment. But I want to talk first of all about partnership, because I think that working in partnership, and sometimes what partnership means, as I said to some folks, including Tim Nash down here, keep pushing us, and Sarah and John. Sometimes that partnership means having difficult discussions with each other and being pushed and pushing each other, but staying engaged. That is what partnership is about. Anyone who has any kind of long-term relationship in a family knows that working together means that there will be times when you're in a tough place and you have to stay together. But those are the most important moments, because that's when the learning happens. That's when you actually can take a leap of understanding. If we just talk to the people we agree with, then not a lot gets done. So from my perspective, if we're going to pursue our shared vision of Ontario, it's essential that government works with all of its partners, and we need to give you the support that you need when it's necessary, and then get out of your way when that's necessary. So not to stand in your way when what you need is to be freed from some of the constraints. The nonprofit sector is a vital partner as we work towards a more prosperous and a fairer society, as Kathy said. You're a significant economic driver, as well as a force for making society fairer, making this a fairer province. Le secteur à but non lucratif est un partenaire essentiel alors que nous travaillons à mettre en place un Ontario plus prospère et plus juste. Vous êtes un important moteur économique, de même qu'une force du bien. And as we're working to make it easier for the private sector to do business here in Ontario, because that's necessary, we need those jobs, we want to make it easier for you to do that good work and to create jobs at the same time. And that means, I know, listening to you and listening to your voices and to your concerns. As some of you know, I've held a number of, and my colleagues have held a number of roundtables in communities around the province. We were talking in many communities about the creation of jobs and how we could better facilitate that as government. We made it a priority as we did those sessions to invite nonprofit representatives to participate in those discussions. In fact, some of the most compelling insights that we got from the roundtables were from the nonprofit sector. At one of my first roundtables in Toronto, for example, we had 3 representatives from the nonprofit sector at the table. Graham Henderson from Music Canada talked about how we can work together to grow the music sector, to create hundreds of good jobs and hundreds of millions of dollars in new revenue. Julia Deans from the Canadian Youth Business Foundation illustrated how much work there is to be done on the youth employment front and how youth unemployment is having an impact on our economy. And then Ratna Ahmedvar was there from the Maitrey Foundation and talked about how we can improve government jobs programs in order to make them more inclusive. I think that's an interesting subject for this moment in our history, is how we continue to be more inclusive in government and outside of government. So with those voices at the table, we work to establish strong partnerships, and that work is already leading to important policy initiatives and decisions. So this year, earlier this year, we announced a new $45 million music fund, which will help Music Canada to support our thriving music industry across the province. And that was a direct result of that conversation with Graham Henderson. Our discussions with Julia and the other youth leaders invigorated our desire to discuss and to address youth unemployment. And so this summer we began rolling out the new youth jobs strategy. And I will just say that there was common cause there as we went into our budget process, common cause with the New Democrats on addressing the issues of youth unemployment. So we had heard it, I had heard it, we knew it was an issue, the New Democratic Party knew it was an issue, and we came together and we put together the youth job strategy. And that strategy will address, it'll help to address our province's youth unemployment program. And I was talking to some of the folks actually, I was at the ploughing match a couple of days ago and talked to the Employment Ontario people who were there in the Ontario tent, and I asked them to be sure that we were making connections with guidance departments at high schools, that we were actually connecting with the student success leaders in high schools, the people who know the kids who are marginal, who are just hanging on, or who may need some support and may need to get into an internship or a practicum or a co-op or something that's going to help them to stay interested enough that they don't drop out, and keep them connected to a job and or school, or both at the same time. So making those connections is really important to me. And as we roll out the $295 million youth employment opportunities over the next couple of years, those partnerships are going to be increasingly important with people in the community. So those are just a couple of examples of insights that we've gotten from people in this sector, and the impact that those insights have had on the development of policy. So I want you to know that I'm committed to having you at the table every time we have these conversations, every time we're formulating how we're going to move forward, how we're going to make sure that the economy works for everyone, and that it's as inclusive as it can be. You know that your sector employs more than 600,000 people across the province and generates $20 in donations and volunteer resources for every $10 invested by government. So we know how important you are, as I've said, and we'll work with you to build on that potential.